Welcome back to Cryptos Are Us. I am George. We're all George. So today, let's talk about Bitcoin, of course. Major indicator flashes by and has only happened 3 times before. And guess what happened after those 3 times? We just saw the 4th time happen, guys. So let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about a few alts and everything else that's going on today. All right, let's do it. Welcome. Take a look. Bitcoin is sitting beautifully. It's taking a breather. I was hoping we wake up and we're at like 49, 50,000. Then I would have to break out the blue label, but thankfully that didn't happen. We're consolidating a little bit, but you guys know what's going on right now. Bitcoin is getting stronger and it's going to form that next leg up. We're right there. Little consolidation right now at 47.2, and that's okay. I mean, keep in mind, we had a very long time in consolidation before, and now we're at that next stage, right? So things are looking good. Supply shock is still in play. If you look at the latest numbers, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Basically, the volume skyrocketing. This is from Thursday, not Friday. So Friday we'll get updated numbers on Monday, but still on Thursday, look at Grayscale. Only 100 million sold, but BlackRock alone was double Grayscale, and Fidelity was more. Even ARK was almost equal to Grayscale. We had a net inflow of $400 million into these funds on Thursday. I don't know what it was on Friday. It's probably even more. Again, supply shock happening. I talked about the compounding effect. The higher Bitcoin goes, the more volume there will be, the more buying there will be, the more Bitcoin will be flowing in, and then of course the price goes up more. And then it just keeps on repeating. That's exactly what's happening. That's what happens during a bull run, and that's why there's so much FOMO and why things move so quickly. That's why you don't want to be scared out or left out of the market. What happened to the guys calling, we retest 30K, like, this is what I'm saying. A lot of guys remain bearish throughout a recovery, throughout a bull run. And you know what? I don't know the reasons, but I do know this. Based on what we're seeing, based on how much flow is going to these ETFs, based on prior events that happens after a halving event, based on the fundamentals, the metrics that we're seeing, everything is pointing in one direction. That's upwards. That's it. We're not going to retest a new low. We're not going to go down to 12,000. In fact, there are some calling that we may never ever see below 40,000 again. Think about that, right? We are going to head a lot higher, and the supply shock is going to keep on contributing to it. Now, on Friday, James did report, or BitMEX reported, and Jen James reported that the GBTC outflow was only 52 million. So that's a 50% drop from Thursday's 101, right? So basically, it's about to become zero. Even Grayscale may be turning positive soon. So, I mean, again, think about how impressive this is. Billions upon billions upon billions upon billions. In fact, over $6 billion worth of Bitcoin sold from Grayscale within the last 3 weeks. Yet, Bitcoin went higher. So think about that. Does that even compute? The reason why is because there's a lot more buying going on. Okay? That's why Bitcoin is unstoppable this year. Unstoppable. 50,000 is right around the corner. Miners cut selling pressure. Miners, they're just selling. Recently they sold because they had, I don't know why this is so zoomed in. Recently they sold because they're preparing for the halving event. Because afterwards, it's going to be twice as difficult for them to make any money because they're going to get half the amount of Bitcoin they used to. So they did sell a lot recently. I'm pretty sure to beef up their cash pile so they can build out infrastructure and buy more equipment, right? But eventually, they're going to stop selling. They're not trying to sell. The miners know what they have. This is gold. This is digital gold. This is going to make their companies worth maybe trillions in the future. So why would they want to sell? It makes no sense, right? So that's why recently they did start selling, because they need that cash to build out more. And then they're going to keep on mining and mining. But we know we're already at like 93%, 94% mined. Everyone's fighting for just less than 10%. There's just not that many to be mined. And another reason why we'll be at 50K soon is because the shorts are going to get wrecked. They're going to get squeezed. Again, if you're going to play with leverage, go long. Don't go short. Man, no one should be shorting this market. You are just asking yourself to be completely wrecked. Even with leverage, you could get wrecked really easily. But I had some killer gains in the last few days. But if you're going to go short, man, that's even double wrecked. I mean, your chances of getting wrecked right now is super high. So I don't know. Anyone that has a short open really should watch out or just close it, because we are going higher. And we're going to get more short squeezes and more, again, compounding and supply shock and everything else. Ooh, Bitcoin is going to get very hot. 50K soon. After 50K, there's another major resistance around 52K, and then we'll be in 60K in no time. No time at all. And we're only in February. we're only in February. All right. According to Exit Pump, as you can see, you got these major volume spikes, and after every single one, Bitcoin doesn't retrace. It just keeps on going. And we're going to see more and more and more and more of these. It makes you wonder, are the OTC market, are they drying up? Maybe because all these exchanges, they're like, we don't have so much to sell. That's why, with hundreds of millions of Bitcoin going into these funds now, you got to figure there can't be that much in OTC to be sold. So maybe that's why we see these random spikes ups. Anyways, Robert Kiyosaki is still claiming that, death of America, death of the dollar, and everything's going to collapse. This is funny. Not Jerome Powell said, Robert, you have successfully predicted 7 of the last 2 recessions. But what I do like is the fact that he's not just talking about gold and silver. He talks about Bitcoin all the time now. He seems to have converted himself into a Bitcoiner, even though he still talks about and brags about how he owns gold mines and so much gold and silver and so forth. He doesn't hold that much Bitcoin, but he does talk about Bitcoin quite a lot. So that's always good. Bring more attention to Bitcoin. Now, this is what I want to talk about, that major buy signal. There are a lot of buy signals, but this one, just like all the previous ones, show you how significant it is and also what's coming up. So this is according to this person. It's called a super trend. I don't know what's measuring, but it looks pretty accurate. So first cycle, after we went from sell to buy, Bitcoin went up 9,900%, almost 10,000%. And then it happened in 2016, 2017. Then Bitcoin went up 3,681%. It happened in 2020. Then Bitcoin went up 828%. And guess what? On the monthly scale, it just flashed by once again. So this time around, and keep in mind, this is flashing at 45,000. This is not flashing at 16,000. Okay? Because if we did just an 8x from 16,000, we're barely at $100,000. No, this is flashing at $45,000. So even if we went up, let's say, I don't know, 5x, 6x. That would put us between 225,000 and 300,000. That's what a lot of people are anticipating. But who knows? Because of the ETF and supply shocks, maybe we have another 8x, right? That would put us around 350,000. Who's to say that we have to diminish the percentage every single cycle? Maybe this time we get 1,000%. We don't stop at 800%. We go to 1,000%. And who's to say we can't have 3,600% this cycle? That would be kind of crazy if we did, but you know, you never know. With institutional FOMO this time around, that never happened in any cycle before. I mean, we never had ETFs, and we certainly didn't have as many institutions talking about Bitcoin. This cycle is very different than previous cycles. So if they're all FOMOing and all the other funds are FOMOing, you know, who knows? Who knows where the top is, right? But what I do know is this. We do have a lot of metrics like this that are flashing buy, and more buy, right? So this is what I rely on, the fundamentals of Bitcoin, on-chain metrics. I think these are a lot more macro views of Bitcoin, right? TA is more like a micro view where it's shorter term, but man, if you put everything else that I've been talking about together, there's no way you cannot be bullish on Bitcoin. 95% of people holding Bitcoin are in profit. 95%, and we're not even at like 60,000. We're not even at 69,000, right? But that's because prior, when we were going up in 2021, we didn't really stay above 50,000 that long. We just like kind of breached it a couple times really quickly. But most people that were buying in 2021 bought below 50,000. Makes sense. That's why we're at 95% in profit right now. But that is going to climb to 99, 100% soon. All right, last few things about Bitcoin. Actually, the last thing I want to show, again, cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4. Just kind of like the other one I showed you guys. Where will Bitcoin end up this cycle? You could see the 2021 cycle was prematurely cut. We should have hit 100,000 in 2021. Okay, it's because Powell and his rate cuts that kind of like cut us off. Otherwise, we would have gone to $100,000. So we're a little bit behind. We didn't hit that curve. But this time around, if we are going to hit that curve, it's minimum at least 250,000. Again, the multiplier effect. Is it going to be a 6x, an 8x, a 10x from 45,000? Who knows, right? But what I do know is this. Every single cycle after a halving event, things get really, really, really bullish. All right, so outside of Bitcoin, let's talk about a few altcoins. One in particular is Avalanche. They're finally coming up again. They've been pretty, I'd say, stagnant as of late. But Avalanche, they keep on building. I think games, a lot of people anticipate that games will play a big part in this cycle. And Avalanche is really ready for that. They're subnets, right? Beam, one of the biggest projects or gaming platforms out there. They also have DeFi Kingdoms, which is still executing. They're about to release new features, new hunts. That's on Avalanche. Also, Shrapnel. They have their own subnet for their token, even though they're within Beam, but they have their own subnet with token. And there's another one, Pulsar Game. I mean, there's just like endless, and there's a new one that's coming out. It's a tournament platform called Tiltyard. I mean, so as you can see, all their subnets are gaming related, right? So if games, they lead the way in 2024 and 2025 by bringing a massive amount of users into the space, guess who's going to, take advantage of that? Avalanche. Avalanche is they're positioning themselves in a really good spot right now, right? Speaking of Shrapnel is giving out 100K in crypto this week just for playing their game, which looks absolutely amazing. If you guys like first-person shooters, I mean, This is it. This is it. This is out. People are playing it. They're going to host a $3 million tournament, but they're giving out a prize pool to people just for playing it right now. Just incentivize people. It's absolutely fantastic, right? But there's another major game coming out called Off the Grid that's going to be on Xbox. It's a console game, but it's also a Web3 game that people won't know about. So it's starting to happen already. Rather than just be on desktop, now you got console games that are Web3. It's a 60-hour narrative campaign, 150-player battle royale. They have 250 employees. They have custom in-game NFT wallet. The economy is fully on-chain, Avalanche subnet, right? So again, shows you how all in Avalanche is on games right now. Absolutely fantastic. So that could be a killer too. But outside of games, Avalanche is still trying to upgrade their chain so that they can scale infinitely, basically 100,000 transactions, right? They have a lot of things going on. So Avalanche, I like a lot. They like I said, they've been a little bit stagnant recently, but I think it's going to turn. And another one is, I noticed this on CMC the other day, Flare Network. Flare Network is coming up. Okay, so what is Flare Network? Flare Network is like a weird chain or weird history. They were all about XRP, right? They were going to be utilizing XRP Ledger, and they decided to change that. They became a EVM chain instead, but they did airdrop a whole bunch of Flare to XRP holders. So they were announcing that they were going to be a programmable platform on top of XRP Ledger, okay? And then they changed that. They became an L1. They're EVM compatible, and they have their own token, but still they airdropped a whole bunch of Flare everywhere, right? So that's kind of like the history behind Flare. But recently, a couple things happened. Google came on as a validator. That pumped up a lot. They also do have coin burning, which also helps, right? But overall, Flare is kind of like, I don't hear too much about it, but I'm seeing them creep up on CMC. So something to watch out. They are EVM compatible, like I said. They have their own Oracle system, which is interesting because most layer ones utilize someone else's Oracle, like Chainlink or Pyth. But no, they have their own. So they consider that, their own leg up versus all other L1s. I don't know if that's actually a good thing or not, but yeah, so Flare Network is another one to keep your eyes on. All right, that's pretty much it. Let's do some Q&A. All right, let me scroll up here. I'm reading through the earlier comments. The red loop. The red loop. I'm not going to repeat that. Jace is asking, question, do you see a small inverse head and shoulders on a daily? Your thoughts? Small head and shoulders on a daily. I see an inverse head and shoulders. Someone pointed that out. Shoulder 1, head, shoulder 2. Inverse head and shoulders. And it's exactly right, because if you cut it off here, what does that look like, right? It's going to come back up, and it did. So this actually played out, the inverse head and shoulders. Now after this, there's nothing to look at. On a shorter time scale, you could argue that maybe there's a bullish flag or bullish pennant going on. A little bit. Yeah. Let's see here. DJ says, I don't find you as bullish as before right now. LOL. Flows on Friday plus 504 million. Thank you. So basically what this is showing is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin is being eaten up every single day now. And it's only going to escalate. On Monday, we're going to probably see 600 million, 700 million. Then we're going to get to billions per day. We're going to have 1 billion in flow per day, 2 billion, 3 billion. And that's when it's going to get really crazy. Let's see. Barack took 6K profit about a week ago to buy futures dip, but suddenly the market is significantly upwards. Feels stupid to buy again at a higher price. I mean, that's why sometimes you don't want to. That's why sometimes you don't want to. You don't want to make too many moves. Now, if you sold because you didn't have enough cash on hand, because you felt like you needed some cash to DCA, that's fine. That's good. But if you sold for the reasons that you thought maybe the market was too overheated, or maybe you heard others say it's going to go down, or you're trying to outsmart the market, any of those reasons, then you're going to feel horrible right now, right? But I would say this. If you took it out for good reasons because you need cash on the side in case there's a dip, great. Then continue to hold and wait for that. But, you know, this is why sometimes I just say it's better to hodl and DCA. That's it. Just hodl and DCA. Because when something like this happens, it sucks because now you have to buy back in at a higher price and you have less now than before, right? That's why sometimes the best thing to do is just do nothing. Hodl and DCA. Bob Smith, you're welcome. Comments on Alphium. Joseph, I don't really have any comments on Alphium. Tony, do you see altcoin season coming early because what's happening in BTC? Should we go all in right now? No, you should not go all in on altcoins right now. If you're talking about like converting Bitcoin away to altcoins, no, you should not. But I will say this. This cycle has been the strongest cycle for alts. Normally speaking, alts get very hot during the second half of the last year, 2025 in this case. But we have seen alts come up, get hot. But most of them are still like 60, 70, 80% off from their high, right? So that shows you they're hot, but they're not that hot yet. But that's when 2025 will change the game. But in terms of your question right now, I think 2024 will still be very good for alts. As Bitcoin gets bigger, there'll be more money flowing into space, and a lot of it will go into alts. Vandy Dandy, 38.5 was the last gift. I think so. When we recently fell to 38.5, it made no sense. Like, you know, there was no reason for this other than I would just say it's a shakeout. You know, BlackRock, whoever, this was after the ETF news and it went down. I would say that's a shakeout. That's pure. Now that we know, now that we're back to 47, we know that was a shakeout. Someone orchestrated it, wanted people to leave the market. Think about it. Bitcoin fell to 38,000. We're almost 10,000 above that point. In what? When was that? When did that occur? January 23rd. That was only 3 weeks ago. Had you panic sold, you would have lost out on $10,000 in 3 weeks if you had one Bitcoin. If you had more than one Bitcoin, it would have been more. How silly would that have been? Know anything about Ondo? Looks like it's a breakout. Isn't that Ondo like some banker's coin? Um, I, I swore I would never look at it again. Yeah. It's a banker's coin. If you like banks, you'll like Ondo. And if you like banks, I don't know why you'll be in crypto. Cryptomania. I almost bought the 38.5 dip, but waited. Now what? Now you have to decide if you want to DCA now or later. Because later, I think we'll be at 50,000. I don't know. We do get random drops sometimes all the time. I don't want to sit here and pretend like we're not going to see any more dips. We're not going to see any more volatilities. No, we are. In fact, we might see more bigger ones coming up. Because in every single parabolic run, we have major drops. Okay? But, with that said, if you put everything together, you put in the supply shock that's being driven by the ETFs, you put in the halving event, you put in the rate cuts, right? And then you put in the fundamentals and on-chain metrics. They're all fantastic. All fantastic. There's not one thing that you could point out right now, honestly. Like even Peter Schiff, I don't think he can even say anything. Like, basically, he's given up. Like, there's nothing bad you could say about Bitcoin. You can't even say, well, government is trying to ban it. No, government is not trying to ban Bitcoin. I mean, there's really nothing bad you could say. No one is trying to stop it. Everyone is embracing it. It's only going to go up from here. In a bull market especially, you want to bet on the fastest horse. So when you look at crypto as an asset class, or just say Bitcoin as an asset class, that's why I say, like, when people ask me, well, should I buy Tesla or should I buy, Microsoft, or should I buy, mining stocks, or should I buy whatever? If you're in equities, there's nothing that's gonna outperform Bitcoin. Nothing. It's gonna be a landslide. So I just don't get, especially in a bull market, if you're in the market, if you're in a game to make massive gains, you go with Bitcoin. That's it. You don't go with anything else. Cristiano, will Avax do a 15x this run? At what point in the BD cycle are you thinking about profit taking? I'd say after, I would say it depends on how fast we move. If we're at like 100,000 by, say, July timeframe, I would say, yeah, maybe we're moving a little too quick, right? Slow down the DCA, maybe take some money out and see what happens. But if we're moving slowly like this, where we just make new highs every few months and we're just trending upwards, and by the end of 2024 we're at 100,000, well, then I feel a lot more comfortable just holding and waiting to see what happens in 2025, because then I think we're still going to do the same move, and 2025 we'll see another new high, right? I think it depends on how fast we're going to move this year. See, like when it comes to like fundamentals, you look at stocks. What are fundamentals of stocks? Well, you look at the company basically. You look at their earnings and their future guidance. That's it, and debt, right? So P/E ratio, and then you look at their future guidance. That's what Wall Street goes by. But you look at fundamentals of Bitcoin, for example. It's totally different. It's how strong the network is, and the network keeps getting stronger. The hash rate keeps going up. The difficulty keeps going up. The number of Bitcoin being held and not moved on the network going up. Number of Bitcoin on exchanges keeps on going down. Number of transactions going up, volumes going up, wallet addresses going up. Like literally, when you're looking at the metrics of Bitcoin, they have never been better than now. So, when you judge Bitcoin versus stocks, they're different. And Bitcoin is just so strong right now. So strong. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to create a George coin. Banyam Yum, I don't know how to say that. Dimension has been doing a lot of airdrops. They're within the Cosmos ecosystem. They're a little too hot for me. Okay, they've been like skyrocketing recently, so you could see that's within just days. So I would cool off. I would let them cool off before getting in. But they're another Cosmos chain that is above $1 billion now. Ermin, sure, why not? Jason asks, I have 272 million sheep at a price of, okay, a lot of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Do you think sheep will at least hit that price this cycle? So I mean, you're talking about like it has to do like a 3x to get back to there. I mean, yeah, I think they could do a 3x. I don't know if they're going to get back to their previous high. Most likely they will. But, all the degen meme guys have moved to other memes. So I think Doge and Sheep are going to be weak. Someone said Bonk is doing well today, up to 850 million once again. They were at 650, so a lot of these memes, Bonk is also on Coinbase. So they're going to steal some of the thunder away from like Sheep. EveryNet Asia, welcome. Supra, it's very easy. You don't need to analyze why Bitcoin dropped 30% 2 months before the halving event. That was the March COVID crash. Everything crashed. That was March. Go look at Dow or NASDAQ. Look at their index. They both fell significantly in the same time. That has nothing to do with the cycle. That's an asterisk. Because had we not had a COVID pandemic shutdown and caused the crash of everything, Bitcoin would have just gone sideways and upwards. But we did have that V-shaped recovery really quickly. So it's just a golden opportunity to buy. What about Injective? I still like them. It's kind of, they and Celestia are like neck and neck. 3 billion. And then Celestia is 3.3. Pretty close. Raymond is asking, buying cock on Trader Joe will be a taxable event. It is if you sell. Yeah, everything is a taxable event. Are altcoin, Joseph asks, are altcoin prices correlated with BTC market cap, or the prices are not so dependent on the market cap? What's your prediction for XRP? Did you just say something like clever to hide the fact that you just want me to talk about XRP? I have an educational video I'll show at the end about XRP, but yes, altcoin prices are correlated to Bitcoin, very heavily correlated. Do you know, Sergio, do you know if Coinlink can calculate all the meme trades on Jupiter and Radium or have to do it manually? I don't know if it supports Solana. It should. I've used Coinlink before. You just basically plug in your addresses. So as long as they support Solana addresses, then it'll be fine. You don't really need to worry about the DEXs. You just need to worry about plugging in your addresses. And the more addresses you plug in, the smarter it is. So it knows like where you transfer from and to, so they won't be counted as taxable gain events. But I don't know. I don't know if they support Solana. I think they do. Give it a try. Is Jupiter going to start moving again? It will. Give it time. Like I said, you can't expect to airdrop $800 million worth of tokens and then expect no one to sell. People are going to profit take. That's for sure. Right? That's free money to them. So when enough people have sold, they'll find the balance, they'll find that base, and then it'll start moving again. I have $500. What would you put it into, Jupiter or Beam? I don't know. They're both good. I would split it. I like them equally. Beam because of what they're doing in the game sector, and it relates to Avalanche that I just talked about. And Jupiter is the biggest DEX by volume now. So they're both good in their own respects. So I would split it. By the way, today is Chinese New Year, so happy Chinese New Year to everyone that cares. It's the start of the new year, and tomorrow's the Super Bowl. So I don't know who everyone's rooting for. It seems like everyone's against the Chiefs. Seems like everyone wants 49ers to win. I don't have a leg in the horse, so I don't really care, but I'm just gonna say Chiefs. Miami James, why is ETH lagging behind? Because there's so many L2s that are gaining strength. No one really talks about ETH anymore. You got some diehard ETH guys that are still holding on strong, but man, I think ETH is going to struggle this year. All right, guys, I got to go. So overall, major buy signal detected. Only happened 3 times before. And they were very, very, very bullish. So we just had that. Stay strong, guys. Stay focused. And I'll see you guys on Monday. And we'll see. Maybe Bitcoin will be at 50,000. We may be at 50,000 tonight. Who knows? Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys later. And have a good one. Take care.